Hello friends, today I should tell you about Convention on Wetlands of International Importance, especially as waterfall habitat. So it is a Ramsar Convention which was carried out on 2nd February 1971. These are amended in 1982 and also amended in 1987, and the document is again released on 13th of July 1994 by the Director Office of International Standards and Legal Affairs of UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. There are 12 different articles which talk about the conservation, management and wise use of resources, and how the contracting parties should go ahead for overall protection of wetlands. The contracting parties, they recognized the interdependence of man and his environment as part of this convention. They considered the fundamental ecological functions of the wetlands as the regulators of water regimes and the habitats that are supported by them, especially the characteristic flora and fauna what they have, especially waterfalls that are supported by the wetlands. Even the wetlands are recognized that they constitute a resource of great economic, cultural, scientific and recreational value. So their importance was well identified and loss of which would be irreparable. Even desiring to stem the progressive encroachments on and loss of wetlands, so at present and in future time is also well identified. Even the recognized that the waterfall in their seasonal migration may transcend frontiers and so should be regarded as an international resource. So as part of this convention, the conservation of wetlands, the flora, fauna, the variety of species that they have, they should be ensured by combined and far-sighted national policies, and for that purpose coordinated efforts, international action was identified here in this Ramsar Convention. So there are total 12 articles and I will talk about each one of them step by step. Article 1 says that wetlands are the areas of marsh, fen, peatland or water, whether natural or artificial, permanent or temporary, with water that is static, the lentic ecosystems in one sense, flowing, lotic, or the fresh, brackish or salt, marine water, the depth of which at low tides does not exceed 6 meters. So wetlands means what in general was defined as part Article 1. So for this purpose, this convention, wetlands are the birds of ecological importance and dependent on the wetlands. Article 2 of this convention, it says that each contracting party shall designate the suitable wetlands within its territory. So for inclusion in list of wetlands of international importance, and the boundaries of each wetland shall be precisely decided So it was the condition, and also a map of it should be prepared, and such contracting parties may incorporate the riparian and coastal areas which adjacent to the wetlands. In addition, the islands or bodies of marine water deeper than 6 meters at low lying within the wetland. So especially these have importance as waterfall habitat. So it was mentioned here as part of this article. Again, wetlands should be selected for the list on account of their international significance in terms of ecology, the botany, zoology, the limnology or hydrology. So the sensitivity as well as importance, ecological importance is considered here. Even the inclusion of a wetland in the list, wetlands of international importance, does not prejudice the exclusive sovereign rights of the contracting parties in whose territory the wetland is situated. It should not cause the issues, the conflicts. So as said here, so each contracting party shall designate at least one wetland to be included in the list. So when signing this convention, so any contracting party shall have the right to add to the list further wetlands so situated within its boundary territory. So to extend the boundaries of those wetlands which are already listed, or because of its urgent national interest, to delete or restrict the boundaries of wetlands which are again already listed in the list. So again, next the point as part of this article is that each contracting party shall consider its international responsibility for conservation, management and wise use. Remember three words that are mentioned here: conserve, manage and use the resources of and nearby the wetlands in wise manner. So of migratory stocks, of waterfall. So when designating the entries for the list and when exercising its right to change the entries in the list of wetlands of international importance. So Article 3 under this convention it says that the contracting parties shall formulate and implement their planning. So some responsibility is there with contracting parties for what? To promote the conservation of the wetlands included in the list. So wise use of wetlands in their territory is expected. So each contracting party shall arrange to be informed at the earliest possible time if the ecological character of any wetland in its territory and included in the list has changed, is changing or is likely to change as a result of technological development, pollution or because of human interference. So such information, such changes shall be passed without delay. It is expected from the contracting parties that without delay to the organization or government responsible for continuing bureau. So duties, so as per Article 8, we'll check what that Article 8 is and to whom such a changes, such a issues should be passed. Article 4 of this convention, it is related with, it says that each contracting party should take steps and promote the conservation of wetlands and waterfall by establishing nature reserves on wetlands, protected areas, so where they are included in the list, and as part of their territory they should provide the adequate measures for their wardening. The contracting party, in its urgent national interest, deletes or restricts the boundaries of wetlands already included in the list, so it should, as far as possible, compensate for any loss of wetland resources. They should restore, they should fill that gap in some other way. So in particular, it should create additional nature reserve for waterfall, for the protection, so either in the same area, nearby area, or other area. So it should be a duty of contracting parties, as it is said here. They should try to maintain the conditions just like original areas. Each contracting party shall encourage research and exchange of data, publications regarding wetlands and the diversity of flora, fauna that they have. In addition, the contracting parties shall endeavor through management, so by their efforts, they should increase the waterfall populations on appropriate wetlands, the wetlands that they have recognized or identified. Again, it is their duty to promote the training of personnel, to create the experts in field of wetland research, management and wardening. Article 5 of this convention, it says that contracting parties, they should consult each other. There should be proper coordination to implement the obligations arising from this convention. So especially the protection of such wetlands extending over the territories of more than one country or one contracting party, where a water system is shared commonly by the contracting parties. They shall at the same time coordinate as well as support each other for present and while carrying out changing the future policies about the regulations related with conservation of wetlands and the diversity of flora and fauna they have. Article 6 of this convention, it says that there shall be established conference of the contracting parties, and this is very necessary to review, to promote the implementation of the convention, the standard practices, the changed ways. The Bureau referred to this Article 8 shall convey the ordinary meetings of the conference of the contracting parties. I'll tell you about what is that Bureau in Article 8. So at intervals of not more than 3 years, unless the conference decides otherwise, extraordinary meetings at the written request of at least 1/3 of the contracting parties can be carried out. So each ordinary meeting of the conference of the contracting parties they shall determine the time and venue of the next ordinary meeting. So it is necessary, so what they are doing at present, and also to decide about what to do and at what time in future. The conference of the contracting parties, they shall be competent, and for that purpose they should discuss the implementation of this convention, the decided ways under this convention. They should discuss the additions and the changes to be carried out in the list of wetlands of international importance. They should consider information regarding the changes in ecological character of the wetlands that are included in the list. So by number of ways, by number of reasons, the characters of the wetlands may change. Again, to make general or specific recommendations to the contracting parties, especially for conservation, management and wise use of wetlands, the diversity that they have of flora and fauna within their territory. The conference, they should come together and they should discuss about carrying out the relevant international bodies to prepare reports and statistics on the matters which are essentially international in character affecting the wetlands. They should come together to adopt other recommendations or resolutions or promote the functioning of this convention. So whatever decided as part of this convention for the proper conservation, future management and the wise use of wetlands, the contracting parties, they shall ensure that those responsibilities at all levels, wetlands management, shall be informed of and take into the considerations the recommendations of such conferences, and that again concerns towards conservation, management and wise use of wetlands and the diversity which is associated with them. The conference of the contracting parties shall adopt the rules of the procedure for each meeting. So how the things should go on, how the process should go on, so they can decide about it. The conference of the contracting parties shall establish and keep under review the financial regulations of this convention. So at each ordinary meeting, so it shall adopt the budget for the next financial period. So 2/3 majority is required for this purpose. Each contracting party shall contribute to the budget according to the scale of contributions adopted by unanimity of the contracting parties present and voting at a meeting of the ordinary conference of the contracting parties. So it is expected that each contracting party should contribute as part of funds. So Article 7, it says that the representatives of the contracting parties at such conference should include the persons who are experts on wetlands or waterfall by reason of knowledge and experience gained in scientific or administrative or other appropriate capacities. So representatives who have knowledge, who have devotion and interest in this field, they should be there. Again, each of the contracting parties represented at a conference shall have one vote. Recommendations, the resolutions and decisions being adopted by a single majority of the contracting parties present, and voting unless otherwise provided for this convention. So it is a usual rule that happens as part of United Nations Convention, and that was adopted in 1971's Ramsar Convention. Article 8, it says that the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, that is IUCN, shall perform the continuing bureau duties under this convention until such time as the another organization, okay, or government is appointed by majority of 2/3 of all contracting parties. So initially in 1971, IUCN was performing the function as bureau, continuing bureau. The continuing bureau duties are mentioned here as part of this convention. IUCN, which was checking all these things, to assist in convening and organizing the conference, to maintain the list of wetlands of international importance, and to be informed by the contracting parties any additions, extensions, deletions or restrictions concerning wetlands included in the list of wetlands of international importance. Again, to be informed by the contracting parties of any changes in ecological character of wetlands included in the list. The next function of continuing bureau of IUCN at that time was to forward the notification of any alterations to the list or changes in character of wetlands included in it to all contracting parties, and to arrange for such matters to be discussed at the time of next conference, to carry out the concerned contracting party the recommendations of the conferences, so as the changes or alterations that are suggested about the overall conservation management of the wetlands. Article 9 of this convention, it is related with the contract. It says that the convention shall remain open for signature indefinitely. Any member of the United Nations or of one of the specialized agencies or of the International Atomic Energy or party to the statute of the International Court of Justice may become party to this convention. So you can check the invitation, you can check about the call from this convention to other organizations of United Nations and the other international agencies. So they can come here by signature without reservation as to ratification. Next, signature subject to ratification followed by ratification, and last is by accession. They can come and sign the contract. The ratification or accession shall be effected by the deposit of an instrument of ratification or accession with the Director General of United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. It is UNESCO. So UNESCO is the depository, is the final authority as part of this convention, and contracting parties are directly UNESCO is responsible to coordinate. Article 10, it says that this convention shall enter into force 4 months after 7 states have become parties to this convention. So minimum number of countries was 7. This convention may be amended at a meeting of the contracting parties convened for that purpose in accordance with this article. So proposals for amendment may be made by contracting parties, and it happens, it is those who are signing, those who are contracting parties, they have right, they can discuss and they can carry out changes. Even about the text of any proposed amendment, the reasons for changes in the text shall be communicated to the organization or government performing the continuing bureau. So initially it was IUCN, continuing bureau. So under the convention, and shall promptly be communicated by the bureau to all contracting parties. So again, any comments on the text by the contracting parties shall be communicated to the bureau within 3 months of the date on which the amendments were communicated to the contracting parties by the bureau. So the bureau shall immediately after the last day of submission of comments communicate to the contracting parties all comments which are submitted by that day. A meeting of contracting parties to consider an amendment communicated shall conveyed by the bureau upon the written request of 1/3 of contracting parties. So sufficient number is required. The bureau shall consult the parties concerning the time and venue of the meeting. Again, amendments shall be adopted by 2/3 majority of the contracting parties present and voting. So Article 11 of this convention, it says that this convention shall continue in force for an indefinite period. And another important point, that any contracting party may denounce this convention after a period of 5 years. So at least for 5 years they should remain with this convention, and they should follow what is mentioned. So from the date on which it entered into force for that party by giving the written notice thereof to the depository. So denunciation shall take effect 4 months after the day on which the notice thereof is received by the depository. Article 12, it is the last article as part of this convention. So you will find initially the things were related with conservation, wise use and management, and later on how the process should go ahead and be followed, maintained. The depository shall inform all states that have signed and acceded to this convention as soon as possible of the signatures to the convention, deposits of the instruments of ratification of this convention. So it's all legal procedure and how they should come officially, contracting parties, deposits of instruments of accession to this convention, the date of entry into force of this convention, the notification of denunciation of this convention. So these are the duties, the tasks performed by depository. When this convention has entered into force, the depository shall have it registered with the Secretariat of the United Nations in accordance with the Article 102 of the Charter. So it is an official requirement and the process that the depository UNESCO has to follow. So this was all about the Ramsar Convention, which was adopted on 2nd February 1971 in Ramsar city of Iran. Thank you very much for being here. Bye bye.